crabs are decapod crustaceans of the invertebratura, meaning short-tail in Greek, which typically have a very short projecting tail-like abdomen, usually hidden entirely under the thorax. They live in all the world's oceans, in freshwater, and on land. They are generally covered with a thick exoskeleton. They generally have 5 pairs of legs, and they have pincer claws on the ends of the frontmost pair. They first appeared during the Jurassic period, around 200 million years ago. Crabs are generally covered with a thick exoskeleton, composed primarily of highly mineralized chitin. For 5, behind their pair of chelae claws are 6 walking legs and then to swimming legs. The crab breathes through gills on its underside. Gills must be at least moist to work. Crabs vary in size from the pea crab, a few millimeters wide, to the Japanese spider crab, with a leg span up to 4 meters 13 feet. Several other groups of crustaceans with similar appearances, such as king crabs and porcelain crabs, are not true crabs, but have evolved features similar to true crabs through a process. Crabs are found in all of the world's oceans, as well as in freshwater and on land, particularly in tropical regions. About 850 species are freshwater crabs. Sexual difference: underside of a male top and a female bottom individual of Pachygrapsis marmoratus, showing the difference in shape of the abdomen. Crabs often show marked sexual dimorphism. Males often have larger claws, 12, a tendency that is particularly pronounced in the fiddler crabs of the genus Euceaocipodida. In fiddler crabs, males have one greatly enlarged claw used for communication, particularly for attracting a mate. 13. Another conspicuous difference is the form of the plien abdomen. In most male crabs, this is narrow and triangular in form, while females have a broader, rounded abdomen. 14. This is because female crabs brood fertilized eggs on their pleopods. Crabs attract a mate through chemical, pheromones, visual, acoustic, or vibratory means. Pheromones are used by most fully aquatic crabs, while terrestrial and semi-terrestrial crabs often use visual signals, such as fiddler crab males waving their large claws to attract females. The vast number of Berchuran crabs have internal fertilization and mate belly to belly. For many aquatic species, mating takes place just after the female has molted and is still soft. Females can store the sperm for a long time before using it to fertilize their eggs. When fertilization has taken place, the eggs are released onto the female's abdomen, below the tail flap, secured with a sticky material. In this location, they are protected during embryonic development. Females carrying eggs are called buried since the eggs resemble round berries. When development is complete, the female releases the newly hatched larvae into the water, where they are part of the plankton. The release is often timed with the tidal and light, dark diurnal cycle. The free-swimming tiny zoel larvae can float and take advantage of water currents. They have a spine, which probably reduces the rate of predation by larger animals. The zoea of most species must find food, but some crabs provide enough yolk in the eggs that the larval stages can continue to live off the yolk. Female crab Xanthoporessa at spawning time in the Black Sea, carrying eggs under her abdomen, Agrapsis tenucrustatus, climbing up a rock in Hawaii. Each species has a particular number of zoal stages, separated by molts, before they change into a megalopa stage, which resembles an adult crab, except for having the abdomen tail sticking out behind. After one more molt, the crab is a juvenile, living on the bottom rather than floating in the water. This last molt, from megalopa to juvenile, is critical, and it must take place in a habitat that is suitable for the juvenile to survive. Most species of terrestrial crabs must migrate down to the ocean to release their larvae. In some cases, this entails very extensive migrations. After living for a short time as larvae in the ocean, the juveniles must do this migration in reverse. In many tropical areas with land crabs, these migrations often result in considerable roadkill of migrating crabs. Once crabs have become juveniles, they still have to keep molting many more times to become adults. They are covered with a hard shell, which would otherwise prevent growth. The molt cycle is coordinated by hormones. When preparing for molt, the old shell is softened and partly eroded away, while the rudimentary beginnings of a new shell form under it. At the time of molting, the crab takes in a lot of water to expand and crack open the old shell at a line of weakness along the back edge of the carapace. The crab must then extract all of itself, including its legs, mouth parts, eye stalks, and even the lining of the front and back of the digestive tract from the old shell. This is a difficult process that takes many hours, and if a crab gets stuck, it will die. After freeing itself from the old shell, now called an exuvia, the crab is extremely soft and hides until its new shell has hardened. While the new shell is still soft, the crab can expand it to make room for future growth. Crabs typically walk sideways, hence the term crabwise, because of the articulation of the legs, which makes a sit-along gait more efficient. 19. Some crabs walk forward or backward, including rhiniids, 20 Libinia emarginata 21 and Nycteris platycels. 18. Some crabs, like the Portunidae and Matuidae, are also capable of swimming, the Portunidae especially so, as their last pair of walking legs are flattened into swimming paddles. Crabs are mostly active animals with complex behavior patterns, such as communicating by drumming or waving their pincers. Crabs tend to be aggressive toward one another, and males often fight to gain access to females. On rocky seashores, where nearly all caves and crevices are occupied, crabs may also fight over hiding holes. Fiddler crabs genus Uca dig burrows in sand or mud, which they use for resting, hiding, and mating, and to defend against intruders. Crabs are omnivores, feeding primarily on algae and taking any other food, including mollusks, worms, other crustaceans, fungi, bacteria, and detritus, depending on their availability, and, for many crabs, a mixed diet of plant and animal matter results in the fastest growth and greatest fitness. Some species are more specialized in their diets, based in plankton, clams, or fish. Crabs are known to work together to provide food and protection for their family, and during mating season, to find a comfortable spot for the female to release her eggs. Crabs make up 20% of all marine crustaceans caught, farmed, and consumed worldwide, amounting to 1.5 million tons annually. One species, Porcinus trituberculatus, accounts for 1/5 of that total. Other commercially important taxa include Porcinus pelagicus, several species in the genus Cyanochets, the blue crab Calonyx sapidus, Charybdis spp, Cancer pagurus, the Dungeness crab Metacarcinus magister, and Scylla serrata, each of which yields more than 20,000 tons annually. In some crab species, meat is harvested by manually twisting and pulling off one or both claws and returning the live crab to the water in the knowledge that the crab may survive and regenerate the claw. WS. Crabs are prepared and eaten as a dish in many different ways all over the world. Some species can be eaten whole, including the shell, as soft shell crabs. With other species, just the claws or legs are eaten. The latter is particularly common for larger crabs, such as the snow crab. In many cultures, the roe of the female crab is also eaten, which usually appears orange or yellow in fertile crabs. This is popular in Southeast Asian cultures, some Mediterranean and Northern European cultures, and on the East, Chesapeake, and Gulf coasts of the United States. In some regions, spices improve the culinary experience. In Southeast Asia and the Indosphere, masala crab and chili crab are examples of heavily spiced dishes. In the Chesapeake Bay region, blue crab is often steamed with Old Bay seasoning. Alaskan king crab or snow crab legs are usually simply boiled and served with garlic or lemon butter. Sushi with crab meat and eggs for the British dish dressed crab. The crab meat is extracted and placed inside the hard shell. One American way to prepare crab meat is by extracting it and adding varying amounts of binders, such as egg white, cracker meal, mayonnaise, or mustard, creating a crab cake. Crabs can also be made into a bisque, a global dish of French origin, which in its authentic form includes in the broth the pulverized shells of the shellfish from which it is made. Imitation crab, also called surimi, is made from minced fish meat that is crafted and colored to resemble crab meat. While it is sometimes disdained among some elements of the culinary industry as an unacceptably low-quality substitute for real crab, this does not hinder its popularity, especially as a sushi ingredient in Japan and South Korea, and in home cooking, where cost is often a chief concern. 33. Indeed, surimi is an important source of protein in most East and Southeast Asian cultures, appearing in staple ingredients such as fish balls and fish cake. Evolution recontracrune of Eocarcinus, the earliest known crab, earliest unambiguous crab fossils date from the early Jurassic, with the oldest being Eocarcinus from the early Pliensbachian of Britain, which likely represents a stem group lineage, as it lacks several key morphological features that define modern crabs. Most Jurassic crabs are only known from dorsal, top half of the body carapaces, making it difficult to determine their relationships. Crabs radiated in the late Jurassic, corresponding with an increase in reef habitats, though they would decline at the end of the Jurassic as the result of the decline of reef ecosystems. Crabs increased in diversity through the Cretaceous and represented the dominant group of decapids by the end of the period. The crab Infrorder Brachyura belongs to the group Reptantia, which consists of the walking, crawling decapids, lobsters, and crabs. Brachyura is the sister clade to the Infrorder Anemora, which contains the hermit crabs and relatives. The cladogram below shows Brachyura's placement within the larger order Decapoda. From analysis by Wolf et al. 2019, Brachyura is separated into several sections, with the basal Dromiaceae diverging the earliest in the evolutionary history, around the late Triassic or early Jurassic. The group consisting of Raninoida and Cyclodoropoida split off next during the Jurassic period. The remaining clade Eubrachyura then divided during the Cretaceous period into Heterotremata and Thoracotremata. A summary of the high-level internal relationships within Brachyura can be shown in the cladogram below. The Infrorder Brachyura contains approximately 7,000 species in 98 families, 40 for 22 as many as the remainder of the Decapoda. 45. The evolution of crabs is characterized by an increasingly robust body and a reduction in the abdomen. Although many other groups have undergone similar processes, carcinisation is most advanced in crabs. The telson is no longer functional in crabs, and the uropods are absent, having probably evolved into small devices for holding the reduced abdomen tight against the sternum. In most decapids, the gonopore's sexual openings are found on the legs. Since crabs use their first two pairs of pleopods' abdominal appendages for sperm transfer, this arrangement has changed. As the male abdomen evolved into a slimmer shape, the gonopores have moved toward the midline, away from the legs, and onto the sternum. 46. A similar change occurred independently with the female gonopores. The movement of the female gonopore to the sternum defines the clade Eubrachyura, and the later change in the position of the male gonopore defines the Thoracotremata. It is still a subject of debate whether a monophyletic group is formed by those crabs where the female, but not male, gonopores are situated on the sternum. Families numbers of extant and extinct species are given in brackets. 1. The superfamily Eocarcinoidea, containing Eocarcinus and Platygoda, was formerly thought to contain the oldest crabs. It is now considered part of the Anemora. 47 examples of different crab sections: Dromia personata Dromiacea, Dromidae renina renina, Raninoida, Reninidae, Chorists cassivellanis, Heterotremata, Choristidae ossipode quadrata Thoracotremata, Ossipodida, Complex rhomboidus section Calichimeroida, Calichimeroidea, 148 section Dromiacea, Dakota Conchroidea 6 Dromioidea 147, 8-5 Glacier Opsoida 45, Homolodromoidea 24, 107, Homoloidea 73, 49, section Raninoida 46, 196, section Cyclodoropoida, 99, 27, section Eubrachyrosebustine, heterotromatefatory 37, 4 for Bellioidea 7, Pythagraoidea 14, Calapoidea, 101, 71, Cancroidea 57, 81, Carpilioidea 4, 100 for Cheraginoidea 3, 13, Choristoidea 10, 5 Campanocancroida, 1 Diroidea 4, 8, Doropoidea 101, 73 Aerophioidea 67, 14, Checarsinucoidea 349 Gonoplacoidea 182, 94, Hexapodoidea 21, 25 Leucosioidea 488, 113 Magoidea 980, 89 Ornithioidea 1, Palacoidea 63, 6 Parthenopoidea 144, 36 Pylumnoidea 405, for 7 Portunoidea 455, to Potamoidea 662, 8 Pseudothelfuso 276, Pseudozoidea 22, 6 Retroplumoidea 10, to 7 Trapezoidea 58, 10 Trichodactyloida 50, Xanthoidea 736, 134, 49 subsection Thoracotremata 50, Cryptochiroidea 46, Grapsoidea 493, to 8 Ossipodoidea 304, 1 for Pinnatheroidea 304, 13. Recent studies have found the following superfamilies and families to not be monophyletic, but rather paraphyletic or polyphyletic. Both the constellation Cancer and the astrological sign Cancer are named after the crab and depicted as a crab. William Parsons, 3rd Earl of Ross, drew the Crab Nebula in 1848 and noticed its similarity to the animal. The crab pulsar lies at the center of the nebula. The Moqui people of ancient Peru worship nature, especially the sea, and often depicted crabs in their art. In Greek mythology, Carcinos was a crab that came to the aid of the Lernaean Hydra as it battled Heracles. One of Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories, The Crab That Played with the Sea, tells the story of a gigantic crab who made the waters of the sea go up and down, like the tides. The auction for the crab quota in 2019. Russia is the largest revenue auction in the world, except the Spectrum auctions. Citation needed. In Malay mythology, as related by Hugh Clifford to Walter William Skeet, ocean tides are believed to be caused by water rushing in and out of a hole in the navel of the sea's Pusat Tasik, where there sits a gigantic crab, which twice a day gets out in order to search for food. The Kapsiki people of North Cameroon use the way crabs handle objects for divination. The term crab mentality is derived from a type of detrimental social behavior observed in crabs. Decapoda dendrobranchiata prawns, Plesiocyamata stenopodidea boxer shrimp, Prochiridaria true shrimp, Reptantia acolata spiny lobsters, and slipper lobsters, Polycalida benthic crustaceans, Astacidea lobsters and crayfish, Axiodea mud shrimp, ghost shrimp, and burrowing shrimp Gedidea, mud lobsters, and mud shrimp, Anemora hermit crabs and allies. Brachyura true crabs, both the constellation Cancer and the astrological sign Cancer are named after the crab and depicted as a crab. William Parsons, 3rd Earl of Ross, drew the Crab Nebula in 1848 and noticed its similarity to the animal. The crab pulsar lies at the center of the nebula. The Moqui people of ancient Peru worship nature, especially the sea, and often depicted crabs in their art. In Greek mythology, Carcinos was a crab that came to the aid of the Lernaean Hydra as it battled Heracles. One of Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories, The Crab That Played with the Sea, tells the story of a gigantic crab who made the waters of the sea go up and down, like the tides. The auction for the crab quota in 2019. Russia is the largest revenue auction in the world, except the Spectrum auctions. Citation needed. In Malay mythology, as related by Hugh Clifford to Walter William Skeet, Ocean tides are believed to be caused by water rushing in and out of a hole in the navel of the sea's Pusat Tasik, where there sits a gigantic crab, which twice a day gets out in order to search for food. The Kapsiki people of North Cameroon use the way crabs handle objects for divination. The term crab mentality is derived from a type of detrimental social behavior observed in crabs.